Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Thanks for joining us. Tonight, we have a hot seat debate, one of the big elections coming up in just about a week on April 24th. It deals with Jefferson Parish, a state representative seat for District 82. For people who may not be familiar with that, that includes a big chunk of Metairie, Old Metairie, Elmwood, parts of Old Jefferson. It's a big and important district in Jefferson Parish. The seat was vacated by Charles Henry, who held it for about a year. He left that seat to take a job in the private sector. Two people are in this runoff. They are both here tonight. We'd like to thank them for being here. Businessman Eddie Connick and healthcare professional Lori Schlegel. First off, thank you all both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to start with a brief opening statement. You each have 60 seconds. We're going to go alphabetically. So, Mr. Connick, you can start off. You have 60 seconds to make an opening statement and let voters know why you feel you're the best choice for them.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel like I'm the best choice here because I have spent a great deal of time in corporate America. 30 years as a healthcare professional. I notified my company that I'd be retiring this spring. So I actually have a firm date of May 7th. I'll be stepping away from it. So 30 years in business, managing about $50 million in revenue, 35 employees, direct and indirect, understanding how to navigate complex organizational structures. These are things with my education, my experience. I have a degree in finance. I have an MBA. Understanding how to do these things to address the big problems that exist in Louisiana right now. We've got a bloated budget. We've got the tax overhaul issues to consider, and we've got Medicaid issues to really look at, the spending, the fraud, the abuse in Medicaid. So my background, my experience, the fact that I'll be able to do this full time is really, I think, prepares me quite well.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Connick. Good job. You came in under 60 seconds. We do like that. Ms. Schlegel, you have 60 seconds to make an opening statement and let voters know why you feel you're the best choice for them.
Hi, I'm Lori Schlegel. I'm a wife, a mother, and a lifelong resident of Jefferson Parish. I'm a conservative Republican who believes in limited government and individual freedoms. After graduating LSU, I worked as an executive for Marriott Hotels and AstraZeneca for over 12 years before pursuing my master's in marriage and family counseling. I believe my business background and training as a counselor gives a unique skill set that desperately is needed in the government today. As a business executive, I understand fiscal responsibility and how important it is to bring jobs here to Louisiana. As a counselor, it's my job to listen to people in crisis and find solutions to problems to make their lives better. That's exactly what I want to do in the legislature. Louisiana is in crisis. We are ranked 50th in nearly every category that matters. We can't continue to elect the same people doing the same things and expect different results. I'm ready to fight for a better future for Louisiana, and I need your help. Please vote for Lori Schlegel this Saturday.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Schlegel. Let's go with you. We'll start this question with you. Obviously, COVID-19 and COVID relief is a big talker. Obviously, the biggest issue in this state, the biggest issue probably in your district of Jefferson Parish. In 60 seconds, once again, hundreds of millions of dollars are coming to the state. What is the number one issue for your district? How would you like to see that money spent? And what would you try to get that money for if you're elected here in the next couple of days? Once again, you have 60 seconds.
Well, for our big thing, we need to bring jobs here in Louisiana. We're literally ranked 50th in the nation for the worst economies. So we need to fix our infrastructure. We have a lagging infrastructure when it comes for roads and bridges, for our drainage, updating our infrastructure for our drainage. So we need to fix our infrastructure. I would like to see that money spent on one-time spending and not reoccurring so we don't bloat our budget even more. So I really would like to see that money be used for infrastructure because we've got to make this state more for jobs to come here. I mean, it's just a crucial issue for the state of Louisiana.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Schlegel. Mr. Connick, same thing. 60 seconds. Right now, lawmakers are at the Capitol. Hundreds of millions of dollars in COVID relief is in hand. If elected, what is the most important issue? How would you spend that money if you're elected for the people of Jefferson Parish? 60 seconds again.
Well, Travers, I have seen some of your hot seats before. And so learning from the give and take here, I have seen that a lot of these dollars are already dedicated. So, not that much is going to be discretionary. So I do agree that infrastructure is number one, and I have a specific plan where those dollars need to be spent. So the 17th Street Canal needs to be expanded. There is flooding in Elmwood. There's an awesome pump to the river project in Elmwood. And you got to get the water from Elmwood to pump to the river to be able to pump to the river. In addition to that, Jefferson Highway, really, you got to put some medians in place. It's a dangerous highway. We've had pedestrian fatalities that have happened on Jefferson Highway. So when you look at the infrastructure, drainage, sewerage, flooding, if you want to bring businesses here, you've got to have an infrastructure in place that works. So those three specific top projects, I think, is where I would go.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Connick. We're going to start this question off with you. You actually brought it up in your opening statement. Both of you all are going to get the chance to answer this one, but a lot of people feel like Louisiana needs tax reform right now. Your district in Jefferson Parish has a lot of businesses, both big and small, in that part of Jefferson Parish. Mr. Connick, here's a 60-second answer if you can. How would you work to help reform the tax code and the tax structure if you're elected to office? Once again, 60 seconds.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is HB 199, so centralized tax collection. I've listened to Sheriff Joe Lupinto. He's made very eloquent arguments on how and why and who should be on a board to make sure that those dollars that are sent in actually get sent back out to Jefferson Parish. Working through that complicated system to make sure that those dollars are distributed as needed in specific circumstances to obviously to make sure that these guys are getting the dollars to just to be able to do business. Now, I think we need to eliminate the franchise tax, and I think we need to reduce income tax as well.
All right, Ms. Schlegel, same question. Obviously, tax reform is a big talker at the Capitol. You have a lot of businesses in that district right now. How would you work, and what would your plan be to help tax reform in the state of Louisiana if elected? 60 seconds as well.
Okay, so we definitely cannot tax our way to prosperity, right? So Louisiana has already been shown that we can't continue to tax the same people. We have to increase our revenue tax base. And how you do it is you get businesses here. We have state taxes that other states don't have, like the franchise tax and the inventory tax. We need to look at doing away with those. We also need to look at lowering the income tax rate. I also agree in terms of the centralized sales tax collection. We've got to make our state more user-friendly. Our tax code is just way too complex. Businesses don't want to come here. You see they're going to Texas and Florida, but they're not coming here. So we really need to make our state a more user-friendly state by really revamping our tax code.
All right, here's a yes or no question. We're going to start this one with you, Ms. Schlegel, and we'd ask yes or no here. Yes or no, do you support the governor's mask mandate statewide?
I do not. I believe that mask is a personal responsibility.
Mr. Connick, yes or no, do you support the governor's mask mandate statewide?
No.
All right, let's start this yes or no one with you. Mr. Connick, did you support or do you support the governor's peeling back of restrictions on businesses and citizens in the state of Louisiana? Yes or no?
Yes.
Ms. Schlegel, yes or no? Do you support the governor's peeling back on restrictions for businesses and citizens in Louisiana?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Schlegel, we'll start this question with you. It's a 30-second one. It's a quick one. Not that we're out of time. We have some more time to go with, but legalizing marijuana in Louisiana is a bill that's going to come up. It's a big talker at the state capitol. One of you two will be there very shortly. In 30 seconds, what is your position on legalizing marijuana in the state of Louisiana?
Yeah, so my personal vote would be no. I do not believe in legalizing recreational marijuana. I have dealt with too many families that have been devastated by addiction, individuals and families. I would support medical marijuana, but me personally, I would not support recreational marijuana.
All right, Mr. Connick, same question. Big talker at the Capitol right now. What is your position on legalizing marijuana in the state of Louisiana? You have 30 seconds.
Yeah, very simply, no. I don't think there's a place for legalizing it at this point in time. I do agree that medical marijuana needs to be vetted. We need to understand, exactly how and where and when it would be prescribed and used.
All right, Mr. Connick, another 30-second question. Another talker, if you will, at the state capitol. They had a tragic shooting a couple of months ago in Jefferson Parish at a gun range. A lot of bills at the state capitol deal with gun rights, gun owner rights, and peeling back some restrictions on gun owners. In 30 seconds, how do you feel about some of those bills and peeling back restrictions on gun owners in the state of Louisiana? Once again, 30 seconds.
I'm pro Second Amendment. I believe that responsibility for gun owners is something that they take very seriously. I don't think we see any irresponsibility. I don't see any reason to limit those rights at all.
All right, Ms. Schlegel, same question. Obviously, you had that shooting in Jefferson Parish at a gun range. A lot of bills at the Capitol. In 30 seconds, what is your position on some of these bills that would peel back gun restrictions in Louisiana?
So I'm pro Second Amendment because I was actually a victim of a violent crime when I was first married. And if it wasn't for the fact that we actually had a gun in the home, I'm not quite sure what would have happened. So I believe in the Second Amendment and that we have the right to defend ourselves. So I would be a big supporter of the Second Amendment.
All right, really quickly, we're going to have you all ask each other a question. Ms. Schlegel, you have 10 seconds to ask Mr. Connick a question here, and keep it brief, please. And Mr. Connick, you'll have 30 seconds to respond. So please, if you could ask it very quickly. And then Mr. Connick will have you do the same to Ms. Schlegel.
Sure. Eddie, it didn't surprise me to see that you took money from trial lawyers, unions, and politicians. But as a mother of a teenage son, what did surprise me is that you took money from Mike Yenny. Could you please explain to everyone watching why you took support and money from Mike Yenny?
All right, Mr. Connick, you have 30 seconds to answer that, and you'll have a chance to ask your opponent a question as well.
Sure. I have a very, very broad base of support. Friends, families, tons of endorsements, PACs, all kinds of people have reached out and said, we like your background, we like your energy, we like your education, we like your experience, and we really want to support you. So I didn't single anybody out and say, no, I'm not going to take any dollars from you, for whatever reason. So I think that when you look at the broad base of support, again, friends and family endorsements, no issues.
All right, Mr. Connick, you have 10 seconds to ask your opponent a question, and Ms. Schlegel will have about 30 seconds to answer it.
I don't have any questions for Ms. Schlegel.
All right. Well, let's move on then. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the governor's agenda in the state of Louisiana. You all are both Republicans. You're both stated you're conservative Republicans in what's considered a very conservative district. How will you work to work with the administration, but also bring home the values of people in your district? Because at times the administration's policies are not going to line up with people in your district. Ms. Schlegel, we'll start with you. You have 30 seconds. How would you work with the administration, which is a Democratic administration, but also balance the needs of your district?
So the governor and I are definitely on different sides of the aisles. We would be doing different policies, but I'm a big believer is that elected officials better work together, right? I mean, as a counselor, that's what I do. As I bring together, we have got to come together. It's an all hands on deck to really turn this state around. We cannot be settling for 50th in the nation. We just can't. So I'm willing to work with whoever wants to turn the ship around. I'm ready for bold change. I'm a person that gets along with a lot of people. And so I'm ready to work with whoever wants to work to change the state around.
Mr. Connick, same question. Obviously, you're a conservative Republican. The governor is a Democrat. If elected, how would you work with the administration to try to support them or work with them, but also keep the values of your district in place? You have 30 seconds to answer that.
I think the values of our district are very obvious, conservative Republican values for sure. However, I do have the ability to reach across the aisle. I've got the endorsement of the Democratic contender. We both went for it. He saw me as somebody who was much easier to work with. I think whatever you think of Governor Edwards, he's a reasonable person. Whether he's got the label of Democrat or Republican, it is what it is. But I think the ability to reach across the aisle, to garner endorsements, to work with folks on the Democratic side of things, to get things accomplished, building coalitions. It's what I've done my whole career. I mean, those are the kind of things you have to do with different business interests.
All right, Mr. Connick, 30 seconds. We're going to get the closing statements momentarily here. 30 seconds for this one. Obviously, Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office is a big entity in the parish that you would represent. They do not have body-worn cameras. In 30 seconds, there have been a lot of bills in the legislature dealing with law enforcement as well as body-worn cameras. Does the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office need to have body-worn cameras? And would you work as a lawmaker to make that happen? You have 30 seconds.
Yes, I think that would be very important. And one of the things we really need to focus on is the victims. So, victims' rights, my endorsement from crime fighters. And actually, I've been contacted by the parent of a victim, and one of my first bills would be to address victims' rights. So, working with the sheriff's office to give them all of the protections that they need. I mean, this whole defunding the police mentality is crazy. So, pro law enforcement, pro victims. Yeah, I can work with the sheriff's office very easily.
All right, Ms. Schlegel, same question. Would you work to get body cameras? Should they have them? And what would you do to make sure that they had them if you're elected, if you support that? You have 30 seconds like your opponent.
Yeah. So like I said before, I'm a victim of a violent crime, right? So crime is really important to me. Obviously, I support law enforcement. I think Sheriff LaPinta is doing a great job. And so I would like to work with him to see the feasibility of getting the body cameras. My understanding is that it's a funding storage issue. But as a state rep, I want to work with all my elected officials just to make sure there's transparency and accountability in government. Because I think no matter what agency you are in government, transparency and accountability.
All right, we could probably go on and on because your district is big and a lot of people are interested in that part of Jefferson Parish. Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up. We'll do closing statements. We'll go in reverse order. So Ms. Schlegel, you have 30 seconds to let voters know why you feel you're the best candidate coming up on Saturday.
Sure. Thank you. Unlike my opponent, my first and last name are on my signs because I'm the person running for state representative. This election cannot be about a political dynasty wanting more power. I believe running for elected office is about public service, serving others. I left a lucrative business career to become a counselor because I want to help people. It's what I'm good at. We have got to bring more jobs here to Louisiana. I'm ready to take a stand for the people of Jefferson Parish and the state. We need bold conservative change, and I'm asking for you to vote for Lori Schlegel this Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Schlegel. Mr. Connick, you have 30 seconds to let voters know why you feel you're the best candidate for them come Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get businesses here if we don't cut spending and we don't reduce taxes. I want to do a complete tax overhaul. I want a special session dedicated to overhaul of our tax code. My opponent talks about a lot of rhetoric. I have specific plans. I would like to really make a big deal about the Medicaid fraud and abuse and the dollars that can be saved there. And I'd really, very quickly, I have to say, please don't take a cheap shot at my family. My family has done wonderful things for decades. And I'm proud of my first and last name. My picture is all over my literature and all over my signs.
Your first name is not. People ask me literally when I'm knocking doors, which Connick I'm running against, because your first name's not on your sign. So that's disingenuous.
Okay, we do have to wrap up because it's closing.
No, hold on. We have put out 10 mailers.
You can respond to that.
Yeah, we have put out 10 mailers with my picture, my name, my first name, last name. It is not disingenuous.
And the social worker piece, you didn't even put your first name on it. That social worker piece, you did not have your name. Go look at it. Eddie Connick was not on there. It was just Connick.
So let me talk about, let me be as professional as I possibly can here. And I don't want to attack, no attack ads, no nothing. But let me be very, very clear. This was posted. I'm here. You've said I wouldn't be here. I've been to every forum. You've asked for endorsements.
You didn't call Travers until I posted that. You didn't call Travers until I posted that.
That is, so I have no idea.
I posted that.
Let me put this back up.
Yeah.
You think I'm hiding?
I posted that.
Well,
I have been to every.
Travers, you can correct this because he did not contact your.
We invited both candidates to this. We are glad that both of you all are here. Unfortunately, I do have to wrap it up. I understand that it is getting interesting right now. And we do know that you all both feel you're the best candidates for this. We invited both of you all.
When this was accepted, how long did this posting stay up? When you knew I was coming, how long did you keep the posting up, Lori?
Well, it wasn't finalized. I was waiting for Travers to give me the finalized details on when this was happening.
So you knew I was coming, but you let it up there.
This before early voting. You did not contact Travers until I sent that post, and that's fact.
I won the endorsement. That's the fact.
Unfortunately, we do have to wrap up right as you all are in a interesting discussion here. We know that both of you all feel you're the best candidates for this. Lori Schlegel, we thank you for your time. Eddie Connick, we thank you for your time. Election day is Saturday. Please go out and vote. You can see this entire hot seat segment coming up starting Monday morning online on WDSU.com and on all of our social media platforms. For the hot seat, I'm Travers Mackel. Thank you for watching.